All right.
Ready? Yep. All right, good morning, Danos team. Mark Danos here from Amelia. For those of you on the phone, this is a little different because I'm typically in the gray office. So for those in the gray office, this is obviously different. And for those in Amelia, for those on the phone, I have about 50 people or so in Amelia looking at me. Typically have lunch at noon. I'm going to try to make sure that I stay on point, but they did have birthday cake, and I'll see a couple extra pieces here for whoever wants one. So happy birthday to those that celebrate a birthday in April. What we tend to do, and for those in Amelia that, I guess I did this about a year ago, every 6 weeks or so we do what we call a town hall. And usually it's in the gray office where we talk to the staff about what's going on within Danos, what's going on within the industry, and just really to update the team about what's happening in the business and in the industry and around us. And so that's what I intend to do today. I'm going to talk about what's going on within Danos. It's April, so I'm going to talk about some of our first quarter performance and some recent milestones or transactions that we've made. But also for those in the gray office, and we have some new team members that I'll talk about that may not be calibrated to the Amelia team, we usually on Wednesdays have a safety meeting, and I want to talk about some of the good work and commend the team for the efforts that have been done here in Amelia recently. There's a milestone coming up. How many years? 10. I think some people in here probably don't want me to say this, but at the end of April, the Amelia team will celebrate 10 years since the last recordable. So put that in perspective, 1.5 million man-hours that this team has worked safe. We're approaching 10 years, so we're not quite there yet. A lot of activity that's going on here. There's pipe that's moved, that's blasted, that's painted, that's welded, that's hydrotested. Just tremendous amount of effort, tremendous amount of activity, and lots of opportunities for somebody to get injured. So I'm proud of you guys for what you've done. 10 years, significant milestone. Not only have you operated safely, but you've operated from a quality perspective. Weld repair rate. That's a typical term that we use in the industry to measure how good are we doing as a team. Our weld repair rate in Amelia is 0.2%. That's a number, may not mean much to most, but our typical industry average from a weld repair rate is 1.5 to 2%. So the Amelia team not only is beating the industry average, they're beating it by order of magnitude, by about 10 times. So put that in perspective. 10 years, incident-free, 10 times the industry standard from a quality perspective. So I want to give you guys a round of applause. Good job. And then another thing that I want to note, when you think about what's going on here, since January, the Amelia team has opened 180 jobs, and they've shipped 140 jobs. So put that in perspective when you think about quality and when you think about safety. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of short, quick jobs that are coming in and coming out, and the guys are staying on top of it and continue to meet and exceed our customers' expectations. When we talk about the volume of work, there's a lot of pluses. When we look at the volume of work, we have a big facility, tremendous amount of capacity, tremendous capability here. We're not where we want to be from a volume, and I know the Amelia team sees it because there's the ups and downs. So that's something that we're working to address. How can we get the volume where it needs to be? What are some of the adjustments and changes that we need to make? We're looking at that from an operations standpoint, and we're also looking at that from a sales standpoint. So that's something important to note, and I'll touch on that again in a bit. But as I said today, the purpose, once I acknowledge the Amelia team and really do that for those on the phone, and just give you guys a pat on the back for the outstanding work that you've done. There's some things that I want to share about what's going on in our business. And the Amelia team may not be calibrated to one of the biggest, which is the Shamrock acquisition. Who in here has heard something about that? Anybody? See a couple of hands? Those in gray and other places have heard a lot about it because they've been actively working, and we'll talk about that. But what does that mean? Shamrock was a business headquartered, based in Houma, very similar to us. Similar in terms of the work that they did, the geographies, the sort of customers. But to put that in perspective, we're about 6 weeks in. Can't say mission accomplished yet, but there's been a tremendous amount of work that's going on, and proud of the progress that we made. Think about George Bush, mission accomplished, right? You put that, and a lot of people said that was premature for the war in Iraq. We're not there yet, but a lot of great effort that has going forward there. And what that is involved is about 700 billable people. that we've added to the Danos team. Before the Shamrock transition started, we were around 2,000 people, so we've added roughly about the third of the size of Danos. And we've done that in about 6 weeks' time. Tremendous effort. Not only 700 people that we've added, but we've added 25 or 24 new unique customers. There was a lot of overlap. A lot of the customers that we were working with, Shamrock was working with. 24 new customers. New customers, new geographies, new service lines, 4 new service lines, which gives us a total of 15 products that we're offering. A lot of things that we're doing. There's more tools in the toolkit, more things that we can offer our customers. When you think about 700 people transitioning, we lost a couple of people along the way. But we didn't lose that many. And that's a testament to the team. Our customers had an option. They could have said, we don't want to work for Danos. We're going to go and work with somebody else. Or some of those employees could have said, we don't want to work for Shamrock. We'll go work for somebody else. We've retained roughly 90% of all the people that were there before. But put that in perspective, right now we have more open requisitions. We're actively trying to fill them. And if we fill them tomorrow, we would have more people post-transaction than pre-transaction. So today, we would have more than 700 people that have transitioned over once we fill those open positions. Again, just an outstanding effort, outstanding testament to the team, managing the client relationships, bringing the people on board, and just bringing the two companies together. So when I think about two companies together, anytime you bring two groups together, you guys saw it when we were operating in 2 different facilities, right? We have the logistics group and the fabrication group. When you bring 2 groups together, you may have slightly different cultures, right? And when you merge and meld, hopefully you get the best of both. But some of the positives or some of the pluses that I see through this process, there's an entrepreneurial spirit and there's an energy and a fresh perspective that has come with our new team members. That's only going to make us better. Bringing 2 together and that new entrepreneurial spirit, the new perspective is just only going to catapult us forward. There's a strong customer service bias and there's a strong bias towards getting things done. Some of that we had within the existing Danos core, but our new teammates are bringing that perspective as well. It's only going to make us better. They're also bringing some new processes. It was a healthy, growing business, and they're bringing some new processes, again, that are going to make us better. And we brought forth some outstanding and great new team members. Added 700 field people. We've added 30 or 40 staff people. Just some great team members that are only going to make us better as a result of that. So what does it do for us? Before, 6 weeks ago, Shamrock was a growing business. Danos was a healthy, growing business. You bring the two together, new customers, new geographies, both had very strong safety cultures. You put the two together, and it just brings some excitement about the future, about what we can do together, and really being better, stronger. So on behalf of Danos, everybody working within Danos should celebrate the achievement and the success and the effort that has been put in to get us to where we are today. It's significant to think about adding roughly a third of the size of the business and getting to the point where we are today, where we haven't missed a beat. We had one customer that opted to do something different. We've virtually retained all of the employees that have come over, and we'll end up with more people than we started. That's a testament to all those, the Danos folks, the old Danos folks, and the new Danos folks that have put forward a lot of effort to make this a success. I think there were probably a lot of people in the industry that were watching and waiting for us to falter or fail, and we haven't done that yet. We're not there yet. We need to keep our focus forward, but it's the makings of a success story, and it's really putting us in a position to where we can do more through the two companies becoming one. So we're in April. I said I wanted to give you a first quarter update, and for those here in Amelia and those on the phone, 2 things that I want to touch on, 2 indicators to talk about the health of the company. 1, safety. I've talked about some of the safety efforts and some of the milestones that we've experienced in Amelia. And 2, financial. That's important to talk about the health of the business. So through our first quarter, our safety record, our TRIR, anybody know what that stands for? Caleb? Total recordable incident rate through our first quarter is 0.22. Again, what does that mean? 0.22, that's a number that many may not be calibrated to. Our best safety year on record, 2016, we had 0.11. Last year, we took a little bit of a step back and had a 0.3. So we kind of right down the fairway. Is that acceptable? From an industry perspective, it's pretty good. Is it acceptable? I would say not. 3 people went home not the same way they showed up at work. 3 people got injured. Our goal is 0. You guys have done it for 10 years. We can do it as a company. But what I want to challenge us to think about, for those that may have listened to the safety call this morning, we talked about complacency, right? So when I look at the 3 injuries that happened, from a severity standpoint, you always want to think about, is it one of those where, man, it could have really been much worse, or we really dodged the bullet there? From a severity standpoint, all 3 of them were about as bad as they could have been. And when you look at some of the injuries that we had last year, if we had a 0.3, we kind of took a step back from where we were the 2 years prior. A lot of the injuries and incidents that we happened were folks that lost focus, poor judgment, really from a complacency. That's what we talked about today. My challenge to the team and my challenge to all is 0.22. That's okay from an industry standpoint. Our goal is 0. Our goal is nobody gets hurt. Added 700 new people, new customers, new locations, new geographies, new opportunities for people to lose focus. It's incumbent upon all of us. And my challenge to the team is we're only as strong as the weakest link. If one person loses focus, that person can get injured, or that person can do something that can cause somebody else to get injured. We need to be diligent, and we need to make sure that we're challenging everybody. Stay focused every task, every day, every time, every minute. If when we lose focus or we become complacent, that something happens. And that happened multiple times last year. It's happened 3 times this year. From a financial standpoint, through our first quarter, what I want to talk about, and really 2 measures from a financial: revenue and profitability. Revenue is what we charge for our services. You go to Walmart, what's the cost for that shirt, pair of socks, bananas, whatever it is, it's what you pay. That's what we charge our customers. Profitability is what we have left at the end of the day. After we pay salaries and wages, after we pay insurance, after we pay electricity, that's what's left. The 2 are linked, but if you have more revenue, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have more profit. But it's important at the end of the day that we manage both, because we can't do things like we did with Shamrock, or growing into new areas, or doing different things if we're not managing both. And we'll cease to exist if we don't manage both well. So general, when you look at how did we do, take the Shamrock transition and what they've contributed aside. Corporately, from a revenue standpoint, we're a little bit below budget. Budget is what we use to forecast where we think we're going to be. So we're a little bit below budget, and when we look forward, we're forecasting to be a little bit below budget for the year. That's not exactly where we want to be, but when we look at profitability, we're a little bit above budget. That's a good sign, right? That means that we're managing our costs. So what we're charging for our services and what's left at the end of the day, all those costs in the middle, we're doing a pretty good job of managing our costs. So we're doing pretty well. And then when you look specifically from a cost perspective, we really have 2 businesses or 2 service lines: projects and production. On the production side, the team is doing outstanding. They continue to beat plan on both revenue and profitability. They've done that this year. They did that last year. They just continue consistently to do real well. So our production team is doing really well. On the project side, it's a little different story. From a revenue and profitability standpoint, we're behind budget. We're behind plan. We're behind where we would expect to be. I touched on one earlier from a volume. We don't exactly have the volume in Amelia that we would like to have, or maybe that we thought we would have. Some of the projects that we thought we were going to have this year have pushed out. That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. So we're optimistic that some of that's going to happen. It's just going to happen later in the year. So we may get there. But we also had 2 lump sum jobs last year that didn't go so well. One of them carried into this year, and so that impacted our first quarter financials. So we're looking at all these sort of things and trying to figure out on the project side, we have some work to do. We're not where the production side is. We're not where we want to be. So we're focusing on what can we do to fix that? What can we do to really to correct that? But what I would say on the project side, there are a few bright spots. Our coatings group and our project management group are doing really well. They're exceeding expectations. They're doing better than planned on both revenue and profitability. I touched on 2 lump sum jobs that didn't go well last year. We have our first, not really our first, but our biggest lump sum job to date in the Permian Basin. New team, this is an opportunity to improve our processes and build out a team. And we're nearly done. We're about 80% done, and the team is doing really well. They're exceeding expectations. They're tracking the plan, and in many cases, they're beating plan where we thought we would be. So again, it's proving the model. So that's a bright spot there. On the Shamrock side, we're only a month in, but what I would say there is we're pretty much in line with where we had expected. But what I said previously, with the people that we added, the customers that we added, the geographies that we added, we're optimistic about what this is going to do for us, a platform or a base that this is building with two companies becoming one, and the additional people, geographies, and customers that are only going to position us not only to meet expectations, to exceed expectations. So we're optimistic there. One other thing that I would like to say, short of corporate performance, I touched on two lump sum jobs that didn't go so well last year. One of them was Williams 535. You guys had a significant effort or involvement on that, right? There was a significant fabrication effort. A lot of you guys know that the job didn't end the way we would have liked it to end. And so just in general terms, I want to give everybody an update. This was a lump sum job, the biggest lump sum job that we have done to date for Williams in Pennsylvania. Way up north, right? The conditions changed from what we bid. We expected the execution to take place over the summer and the fall. Due to some late deliveries by our customer, it pushed the schedule from summer and late fall into the winter. Mountains of Pennsylvania, you guys have seen pictures or heard stories, it's cold. It's really cold. It's cold, cold, as the Cajuns say. So the conditions became extreme. We requested what we thought was reasonable. What do you do for a lump sum job when the contract conditions change? Request a change order. So we approached our customer and gave them what we thought was reasonable, asked for a reasonable relief because of the conditions that they drove us to, that they caused. And rather than accepting our terms or hearing our request, they opted to go with somebody else to finish the contract. And they terminated the contract. We felt at the time, we still feel that they owed us relief. And short of that, and we also felt like that they wrongly terminated the contract. So we're in the midst of a legal dispute. The last thing that we want to be with a long-term valued customer, but through the course of the process, we're kind of right where we think we need to be and where we normally would be. There's what you call a legal discovery process or period. And to date, what's coming back is everything that we're seeing is validating our claim or our thought or our opinion to support our position that we performed properly and that we were wrongfully terminated. This is the last place that we want to be with a customer, is having a legal dispute. But our aim with the process is that we get to the bottom of it and let the contract dictate where we are and where we should be. Who's right, who's wrong. Somebody is going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong at the end of the day. We're confident in our position, so we want to set the record straight, but also we want to make sure that we're re-engaging a valued customer. There's cases where our customer is reaching out to us to come and perform work, or our Williams customer is reaching out to perform work in various places along the Gulf Coast. That's encouraging to us. We still have some work to do to get through this process and continue to re-engage our customer. Confident that we will do that. That's what we do well. That's what our new team members from Shamrock have done well. Think about all the customers that we've retained there. Think about our long history of working with and satisfying our customers. So the last thing that I want to touch on is our strategic action plan. Those on the phone that are in our staff offices, that are in our office locations, our staff individuals, there's a screensaver that shows that it's on the wall. It talks about our strategic action plan. And for those in here, we spend a lot of time every year, and there's a lot of input that comes up through the organization to help us focus on what are the most important things that we must do, that we need to focus on to keep us moving forward so that we can remain relevant and that we can stay ahead of the industry so that we can continue to provide a good service, but revenue and profitability, right? We need to remain viable and healthy so that we can continue on for generations and for many years to come. And so each year we come up with 3, 4, 5 focus areas, and sometimes those carry on for multiple years. And this year we have 4. Anybody, I'm looking around, I don't see them in here. Anybody know what any of the 4 are? I have no takers. So there would be project excellence, technology solutions, Permian expansion, and midstream growth. I'll touch on those a little bit. The first, project excellence. So what that means is we have a vision. We think about it as a company, what do we want to do? Again, I'm looking on the wall. I don't see it. But our vision is to be and achieve a standard of operational excellence everywhere we go. I touched on some of our project shortcomings. We have some work to do. That's an ambition, right? A vision is ambition. It's where you're going. We're not there yet, but we're confident that it's achievable. Some of the areas that we missed on, like I said, volume of work in fab, a couple of lump sum jobs that didn't go the way we wanted. They caused some reputational damage with our customers that we're working to get through, and then a couple of other areas that where we're not meeting expectations. But the team here under this Project Excellence is really focusing on the right tools, the right processes, and the right people so that we can execute every job well every time and achieve our standard of operational excellence. That's what they're working on. And what I would say is, with our new team members that have come across and legacy Shamrock processes and procedures, we're already seeing places where, as I said, two cultures coming together, two are better than one. We're able to take some of the best of what Shamrock has done and bring that into Danos, and it's only going to make us better. So that's what they're focusing on. Technology solutions. Who has a cell phone? Everybody. Who has a smartphone? Most everybody. Who has a child or grandchild that picked up their smartphone? They're pretty capable and pretty slick, right? Technology is changing quick. Technology is changing rapidly. Technology in our industry is changing. So there's a focused effort for us. We've identified that this is a risk, but not only is it a risk, it's an opportunity. Our purpose, part of our purpose is to solve challenges for our customers. As the industry changes, we're either going to get left behind because the industry changes, because the technology passes us up, or are we going to stay and be a part of this technology change and figure out how to use technology to solve our customers' challenges and our customers' needs. And so that's what this team is tasked with. If you walk into our gray office, you'll see there's a tech lab. And the aim there is periodically they're going to swap out different technologies to expose our organization to different things, to get them thinking about what's the application in the industry. And the first is drones. You hear a lot about that. But we have a drone training program where we're training people to be certified pilots. You realize that you can be a drone certified pilot? So we're training folks just to get people thinking, how do drones work in our industry? You think about what you read and what you see. There's a lot of applications there. Next would be 3D printing. If you've heard about 3D printing, you can use the printer to print all kinds of stuff. I saw recently where they're using 3D printing to print houses. How do you do that? I mean, it's pretty amazing, the technology. So we're going to have a 3D printer. We're not going to print any houses or build any buildings, but we give people the opportunity to play with it and start to think about how this relates to our industry. And there's lots of other things that they're working on. Another one would be Permian expansion. Permian is the epicenter of the oil and gas industry, the hottest market in the world. We want to be there. We need to be there. We're committed to being there. How do we provide some focus there? And so there's a team looking at that. One of the biggest things is we need to be where our customers are. We are in the process of building a new office in the Permian. This week we have steel coming up. We're starting to see we've done a lot of the structural, the subsurface things, and now we're starting to see a building take shape. Through our Shamrock acquisition, we have a new office in the Pecos, in a new area. We're also looking at southeast New Mexico. That's a hot area. There's a lot of activity going on. So we're looking at land and what we can do in that area. And the last thing that I want to mention, our fourth area is midstream. You hear about shale. With all of the opportunities in shale, with all the oil and gas that's coming online, what has happened in North America and the United States is you have all this oil and gas coming online, but in many cases there's no way to get it to market because it's in places where there wasn't oil and gas previously. So there's a lot of effort to figure out, can we put pipelines, can we put compression stations, can we put transportation hubs? Anyway, how do you get this oil and gas to where you can use it? So we have a team looking at that, looking at where we work, the customers, identifying the customers that we want to work with so that we can capitalize on the activity there. So a tremendous amount of infrastructure going in, a tremendous amount of money that's going to be spent, and we, within Fab and within the rest of our Danos service lines, hopefully we'll see opportunities to be a part of that and capitalize on that. So there's a team focusing on that, and specifically this week or today, they're at a convention, I think it's in San Antonio. It's the largest convention in North America with 2,500 attendees. So it's an opportunity for them to see who are the major players in here and how do we compete. So that's the gist of what I wanted to say. So just before I close, to summarize some of that, a couple of things that I touched on For those on the phone that may not be calibrated, fab. Outstanding contribution here. 10 years incident-free from a safety perspective. Quality, 0.2%, 10 times better than the industry standard. We have some opportunities from a volume of work, but the effort and the work quality and the product that the team here has done has been outstanding. The Shamrock acquisition, outstanding effort by many, many people here to get us to where we are. 6 weeks in, 700 new people, 24 new customers, 4 new service lines, and building a platform that should allow us to really catapult forward and do something significantly more and better. From a financial standpoint, we're about right where we thought. Production services is doing better than what we thought. Projects, not so. There's some opportunities there that we're focusing on. Williams 535, long-term value customer. We're going to work hard to maintain that relationship. We're not where we want to be because of the legal process, but we're working through that. We're confident in our position. We're also going to work hard to make sure that we maintain that relationship with the valued customer. And then our strategic action plan, 4 focus areas: project excellence, technology solutions, permanent expansion, and midstream growth. Those are the focus areas as a company where we're spending a lot of time to make sure that we spend some energy figuring out, putting forth some effort to make sure that we are continuing to be relevant and focusing on the areas that we need to continue to move forward. So a lot of facts, a lot of details, a lot of things really that my intent today was just to give you an update. A lot of stuff going on here at Danos. For those on the phone, I didn't have any submitted questions, so I'm going to cut off. If you have, I encourage you guys, take some time. If you have questions, talk amongst yourselves. I know in gray, Hank will stand up and is there to field any questions. And then I'll give the Amelia team an opportunity to answer questions. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you guys.